So Rolling Stone just put out a new list, the 100 greatest heavy metal songs of all time. So let's take a look at this, and I'll tell you what I think. So let's scroll down to 100. Welcome to Hell by Venom. Venom is not a great band. I think they're more known because they kind of started this whole thing of mixing heavy metal with some like faster music and the satanic thing. But I never thought they were that great, but they were influential, so that's fine. Planets Collide by Crowbar. I remember Crowbar. I know Beavis and Butthead made fun of them. It's sludge music. I think they're decent, so they deserve to be here. Executioner's Tax Swing of the Axe Power Trip. This is a great song. I think this one should even be higher. I think this is like the epitome of modern thrash metal, just like a great song that came out in 2017. I mean, this one should be higher in my opinion, and this is just a great song here. Okay, 43% Burn the Dillinger Escape Plan. They are a very good band and also created a new style called mathcore. So they are very influential. I'm not like super familiar with them. I haven't listened to them a lot, but I know they do have a big following. So, being that they are an original band, I think that's pretty good. It's kind of low on this list, but it's decent. Yeah, right, Girl School. I actually never listened to this band before, so I'm not really familiar with it. I know they did some stuff with Motorhead, but it's decent. It's classic metal. It's a female band, so otherwise, that's fine. The video Machine Head, this is a really good song. I really like this early album with Machine Head, Burn My Eyes. This is about like that Waco incident back in 1993. Machine Head were very influential in like the whole groove metal scene. Like they weren't as big as Pantera, but I think this is a really great album and a great song. So I like this one a lot. In the meantime, Helmet. I used to love Helmet back in 1992 when they released this album. Meantime, the other song, Unsung, that would be a better one. I don't know if that's going to be higher up on the list, but I'm hoping it is because that's the better song. But this is just there's a good track here. Hammer Smash Face, Cannibal Corpse. This is just a classic of that classic death metal of Hammer Smash Face. This is their older style. This one has Chris Barnes on vocals, and this was also the one used in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. So, yeah, that's fine. We Are Rock, Warlock. Another good one, Doro Pesh. I guess she probably should have been bigger. I think if this band like stayed together, I know she kind of went solo after this, but this is just a really great classic heavy metal band. I don't listen to them that much. I probably should. I need to go back to these old albums because this is just great classic metal. Put Me on the Dream Theater. This one was very influential. I remember when this came out in 1992. It was all over the radio. This like brought like progressive metal like into the forefront, and it was during a time when like grunge was like at its peak. So I like this song. I've probably gotten a little bored of it over the years because it's been overplayed a lot. I've listened to it so many times, but definitely I like Dream Theater. I like this album and really good. This is going to be the one that I disagree with first. Bring the Noise, Public Enemy featuring Anthrax. It's a cover song. It's been done before. They did it before. I would have put I'm the Man. I don't know if I'm the Man is going to be up higher. It should be, but this one I would actually just take off the list. So that's what I think. And You Can't Bring Me Down, Suicidal Tendencies. This is another great band, and they were really big late 80s, early 90s. Just as a classic band. I always loved this band and I love the lyrics because they're more like emotional, and me being in my early 20s, I can just relate to all the things that they were saying in their lyrics. So I love this band. I love the song. So this one I would even actually have higher. This Time Life of Agony. This is one I'm not very familiar with. I've listened to them before. Another band I probably should listen to because I know what I've heard of them. I did like. So I can't really comment much more on this, but I know this is a band that I have listened to before, and I did like Slaughter of the Soul at the Gates. This is again one of the most influential like melodic death metal bands. This one probably should be higher because it is very influential, but we're gonna see what's up at the top later on. This is just a great album. 21st Schizoid Man by King Crimson. So not technically heavy metal, but I think this is proto heavy metal. It's been covered by metal bands, so many times. And it's just a very like jazzy, it's this proggy song. So I'm not gonna disagree with this. This should be on here because it is like this proto metal song, and I just love this. I used to like play this on Guitar Hero. A really great song. There Goes the Neighborhood, Body Count. This one I'm not sure. I like Body Count a lot. I'm a big fan. They did the Cup Killer, and that was got a lot of controversy. Yeah, I'm not sure if this should be on the top 100, but Body Count is a really good song. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts on that. Thunder Kiss 65, White Zombie, another influential band. They kind of brought in that industrial and groove metal sound. I used to listen to this one a lot. This is a great like early 90s song, more along the lines of like bringing in that industrial music. So this is a really, really great song. World Eater, Bolt Thrower. Yeah, Bolt Thrower is another influential band. I probably need to listen to them a little more. I've been listening to their like I call them Second Bang, the Memoriam a lot, but this is a band I need to revisit a little more because people always say how much they're really great. Spit by Kitty. I know this is like early new metal. I'm not super familiar with it, but I don't think it deserves to be on this list because me as a metalhead, if I don't recognize it, I mean, I don't think it's really like that great of a song. That's just my opinion, but I don't know. I don't recognize the song, so maybe it's good. So we're not gonna take it. Twisted Sister, yeah, Twisted Sister is one of my all-time favorite bands, and it's a classic. I think for me, I've listened to it a lot. So if I listen to Twisted Sister, I'd probably like skip to another song because I've heard it so many times. But I think it has been very influential. It was just on MTV a lot. It was very popular. It helped bring metal into the mainstream. So I do agree with this. It might even like be up a little higher in my opinion. My Own Summer, Shove It, Deftones. Yeah, Deftones is a great band. Uh, I like this. I don't know if this would be their best song. Probably something from the White Pony album might be higher, but we'll see if there's more Deftones on this list. But this is just a really great song. Balls to the Wall, except yeah, this one is a classic. I used to watch this music video a lot. Back when I watched Headbangers Ball in the day. Another classic metal. This is Accept. This is when they're at their peak. This is just really great, super great classic metal. Concubine by Converge. I've never listened to Converge, but I know they're very influential in like bringing on to the metalcore scene. So I guess it's an influential song. Supposedly it's 80 seconds long, so I don't know. I'm not really familiar with this, so let me move on. Jesus Christ Post by Soundgarden. Okay, this is a great song. Again, probably more grunge, but I think it's heavy enough to be on the metal list. Really, just this was Soundgarden at their peak, 1991. Bad Motor Finger came out, and it had the music video. It was a little controversial, but really great song, really great guitar riffs. A Fine Day to Die, Bathory. Another band I'm not super familiar with. I know other channels talk about them a lot. They're good. It's like the black metal, Viking metal kind of thing. They mix it up. So yeah, that's fine. Youth Gone Wild, Skid Row. Yeah, this first Skid Row album was really great. Another one I used to listen to all the time. Skid Row was always heavier than their other like glam metal counterparts like Warrant or other bands like that. But I think they were just pigeonholed into just like glam metal, but I think they were closer to like a Judas Priest than they were like Bon Jovi. That's just in my opinion. This is that's a great song. Chopped in Half, Obituary. Yeah, this is great. This is from Cause of Death. This is my favorite album from them, and probably their most famous song. It just has those like great vocals and just classic old school death metal. This is like if you want to like what is old school death metal like, this is it. You know, Chopped in Half or Obituary. Du hast Rammstein. Yes, this one is awesome. This one was all over the radio. This was a big song. Rammstein is one of those bands, kind of an anomaly. They're industrial. They sing in German. It's like dance music. It's techno, but it's metal. But they're such a great band. This is one of my favorite bands, and really love the song. You Suffer, Napalm Death. Napalm Death is one of those bands I don't know that much, but I know their debut, Scum, was very influential in grindcore. So I know this album has lots of like really like short songs. So I guess this one is like supposed to be like the shortest song ever or something like that. I don't know. I guess it's good. Blood and Thunder, Mastodon. Yeah, this is the first Mastodon song that got me into the band. Really got great like opening riff, like that really like brings you into the song. And just Mastodon, they're a great band. They play this like sludgy progressive metal. They're very original, like no one else is like them. So this is definitely a song that I recommend. Flying Whales, Cohere. Yeah, that's another great one. It's just I really like Cohere because they're like very environmental. They're like these like vegans, and they play like that kind of music, but with like really heavy music. This is just one of my favorite bands. And another band, they're kind of hard to describe, but doing their own thing, and it is just like a really good one. Evil, Merciful Fate. So this is another influential band with King Diamond, Merciful Fate. They had those early evil lyrics, bring in that whole thing. And this is just 1983. There wasn't like a lot of that like dark like black metal, so this kind of helped to bring that in. Running with the Devil, Van Halen. Yeah, this is a classic. I think Van Halen's debut album was one that kind of like brought in like heavy metal as a genre. It's something that just helped it kind of set the blueprint for metal in the 80s. This is their best album, one of the best songs, and can't say anything else about it. Blind by Corn. So yeah, another really good one. Corn very influential. This one actually might even have higher. It just they don't like being called new metal, but they kind of like created new metal, so that's kind of like what it is. This is their first album was really great. It was flawless, and it was really good. Bang Your Head, Metal Health, Quite Right. Yeah, I just actually just reviewed this album again because it was very influential. It was like the biggest metal album at the time. They were the biggest band at one point, and they kind of like just disappeared. I think they were one of those bands that were like they helped make like that glam metal more just into the mainstream, but I think they didn't really have it as a band to just survive and continue to put out great albums. But I like the song. I like this album. Over My Head, King's X, another great one. I think this one even could be a little higher, but it's another band, really great, a three-piece band. They played like heavy metal, progressive metal, progressive rock kind of sound. They were very original. No one else sounds like King's X. They recently put out now, which wasn't great, but I really like their first like 3 or 4 albums. Like those were really good ones. Black Number One, Negative, another great band because 1993. right in the middle of like the grunge period, all alternative rock, and then here's this band playing this like super slow doom music, and with this guy singing like this really like a deep like baritone style, and they were popular. This was just a really great song, and it had that whole like image that they're mentioning like Nosferatu in the lyrics. So this I like this one a lot. Summertime Blues by Blue Cheer. I also just did a ranking of this band. This band is like not good, and the album, which was it has some Latin name. I can't even think of it. What it's called right now, but they're being credited as being like one of the first heavy metal bands because they used a lot of distortion. But this was just a cover song that was covered by many different artists. I forget the original artist, but I know the Who covered it. This one is not good. It's influential, but it's just not a good song. Dragonaut with Sleep. Yeah, this is definitely something different. It's a long song. This is that like stoner metal, something that like nobody else ever done before. And again, not a band that I listen to much. I don't really listen to this genre that much, but I understand why it's here. We Will Rise by Arch Enemy. Yeah, this is definitely a great song. So this one is from Anthems of Rebellion. This is with Angela Gossow in the band at the time. Yeah, just really a great melodic death metal band. I like this band a lot. People Really Equal Shit by Slipknot. Yeah, this one is good. This is from their Iowa album. I know people always think of Iowa as like the best album. For me, I prefer so many other albums, but I think this is just a good example of classic Slipknot when they're at their peak. So this is definitely a good song. Freezing Moon by Mayhem. This is one of those black metal bands I've never listened to. I know a lot of people just say this is just a great band, but I can't really comment much more on them because I don't really know Mayhem that much. But I know a lot of people have said a lot of good things about them. Refuse, Resist, Sepultura, definitely like another great band. One of my favorites. I would put something from Arise up higher. So let's see if that happens. But otherwise, this is just great. It came out in 1993. You know, thrash metal was kind of going into that like groove metal thing, and that's what they're doing here. And Sepultura actually went into like a new metal sound later on, and then they like Max Cavalera left and they changed it to a different band, but definitely a good song. Cry of Mankind by the Iron Bride. Another band I listened to a little in the past. I'm not like super familiar with them, but I know they play like this like doomy, gloomy metal. So I'm not going to comment too much on them. Bark of the Moon by Ozzy. This is definitely a classic. He has some better songs, and hopefully they're appearing up higher, but this one's really good. This is a pretty good album. Jakey Lee on guitar this time. So that's that. Caffeine, Faith No More. Kind of a weird choice. I know they have better songs, but I guess this is one of the most experimental ones from Angel Dust. We'll see if there are more Faith No More up in the top half of the list, but definitely a good song. Photograph by Def Leppard. Yeah, this is definitely a classic. Another song that helped to bring hard rock metal into the mainstream. They were a band where they kind of started as like New Wave of British heavy metal, but then they kind of got more of that like glam rock. But definitely, I think they're pretty good. 4 Days, 6 and 2 by Tool. This is another one. I think they're very influential. Definitely a great band. I used to listen to Sober a lot, so I'm kind of hoping that Sober is on this list and up higher, but I think it's pretty good. Deliverance by Opeth. Opeth is another one of my favorite bands. They're like they can get very heavy, they can get very soft, they're progressive. I love the song, and it's just I love everything that Opeth does, even their newer stuff. So they didn't really have anything bad. Slate Man by Godflash, this is one that I'm not super familiar with, but I've heard good things about it. I know I've listened to their first album, but I don't know they have another new one coming out. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, 50 Procreation of the Wicked, Celtic Frost. Yeah, this one's good. This is a band I've listened to before. I'm not like the biggest fan, but I think it's decent. I mean, I feel it might be up a little high. It's I wouldn't think it's like super influential or a great song, but yeah, it's fine. Just One Fixed Ministry. This is a great song, industrial metal. This I used to love this album. I still love this album. I still go back to it all the time. The Psalm 69. This is probably, I guess, maybe one of the best industrial songs. So this one was definitely great. Walk in the Shadows by Queensryche. So yeah, this one's good. So it's early Queensryche. They really did some good stuff. And this is from Rage for Order. Definitely cool music videos. I like this one. Locust Star by Neurosis. This is a band I'm not super familiar with, but I've heard a lot of good things. It's post metal. They're very influential. I know a lot of people like them. I've listened to them a couple times, but I never got into them. Night Goat by Melvins. I know Melvins. I don't know this song in particular, or I mean, if I heard it, maybe I'll be like, hey, I know this. But so supposedly it was a single from the 1993 album, and they were one of those grunge bands that like weren't part of like that big four of grunge, but they were like just like in the background. So yeah, they're a pretty decent band. Symphony of Destruction, Megadeth, great song. This one might even be higher for me because it's just one of their classics. It's from the Countdown to Extinction album, and this is just one of my favorite albums by this band. Green Machine by Yes, another one that's stoner metal. I don't like know this song that much. It seems kind of high for me, but I know it's influential in getting like that genre into the forefront. Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. Again, that's another classic song. That album they did, I think the debut is that's really great. Just kind of bringing that like symphonic metal into the mainstream, like mixing like symphonic metal and new metal. So I thought that was this is a really great song. Curse You All Men, Emperor. This is a band that I know a lot of people talk about. I've never really listened to them. This is like that, like I guess Norwegian Viking metal, black metal, and I know I guess the leader Isan, he's really big in like the black metal community. So can't really comment too much more about that. Bleed by Meshuggah. Yes, it's a great song. Another album I just reviewed that recently. This is just a really great album from Obscene. And this is just super technical. It's fast, really great drums in it. I mean, like these guys are like really good. This band has been like growing on me recently. Victim of Chains by Judas Priest. This is a classic song. This is like one of those like one of the best like long metal songs, like epic. I guess it's not. I think it's like 7 or 8 minutes long, but probably like one of the best songs. I compare this to something like Deep Purple's "Child in Time." It's just a really great epic song. If you don't know early Judas Priest, check out some of their albums from the 70s. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Metallica. I know there's going to be a lot of Metallica on this list. So it's a great song. It's a live staple from a great album. So I'm nothing more else to say about this. Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. This is another great one. It's more like rap rock alternative, but I think it was very influential at the time. I was really into this album when it came out. I listened to it all the time. This was like in one of like the first bands I ever played. Like this was one of the songs we covered. So I love the song. And Tom Morello, he was very influential at that time. He played in a style like no one else could. So I like this one a lot. Chop Suey System of a Down. This is one of my favorite bands. This song, I guess it's on here because it's their most popular cut. It's probably the one song that I've gotten bored of because I've heard it so many times. There are other System of a Down songs that I like a lot better, but being that this was the one that kind of brought them into the mainstream, so I guess that's why it's here. Rocky Like a Hurricane, Scorpions. This is another great one that kind of like brought that melodic classic heavy metal into like the mainstream. It's just really great guitar riff and just like a sing-alongable song. So this one's very good. Fade to Black, Metallica. This one would definitely be up a lot higher for me. It's one of the first like thrash metal bands doing kind of like a quasi ballad, I would call it. And it's just a dark song. This is probably like out of Metallica songs, this is like one of my top five. Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple. This is another one because this is like that classic guitar riff. This is the one that like everybody learns. This was my first riff that I ever learned, and this is just another classic. Kiss Me Deadly, Lita Ford. It's a good song. I mean, we're in the almost in the top 30. I think it's kind of high for this type of list, but it's a fun song. I also just like did a short review of this. It's good, but I think this one is up kind of high. Mother by Danzig. This is another one that was classic. You know, it was on MTV a lot. I guess it was very controversial. Another one that might be a little high, but I like it a lot. Yeah. Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. This is definitely a classic. Yeah, this one is definitely like almost top 30. This is just when Dio took over and kind of brought Black Sabbath back after like a few weaker albums. So yeah, this is a great song. Enter Sandman by Metallica. I love the song, even though it's overplayed. It's been, we've heard it thousands of times, but I really enjoy this. It's just from the Black album, and this kind of helped bring metal, back into the mainstream in the early 90s. As glam metal was starting to die off, like Metallica made a metal kind of like, commercial again or mainstream again. So I go back to the song a lot. But Walk Pantera, another one, same thing with everything I just said. Came out in 1992. I still listen to it all the time. It's a simple song. If you're like a beginning guitar player, it's like one that you can kind of like learn to play. But it's a really great song. Another one I used to like always listen to this album. Holy Wars of Punishment, Dune. This is only at 28. This one would be up higher for me. I would put this in the top five because this is one of the best Megadeth songs like ever from one of the best albums, one of the best thrash metal albums of all time, and it's just some of the best guitar work you're going to hear in thrash, and that's all I'm going to say. But this one should be higher. Living After Midnight, Judas Priest. This one is good. I think 27 is kind of high for this, but it's a good song. It's kind of simple. It's a catchy sing-alongable song. This is like heavy metal that's you can show to your friend who's not a metalhead. Like this is what metal sounds like. So it's a good accessible song. In My Evil Diamond Head. I don't know if this would be is this kind of high, but I think it was influential. Maybe one of the first like thrash metal songs or proto thrash. So it's good. It's an influential song. I know like Metallica kind of like formed their career based on this band. So, it's there for a reason. Rainbow in the Dark Dio. It's great. I like the keyboard sounds, but I don't know, maybe it's kind of high for this type of list. But I think it's definitely a great song. Anything Dio does is great. South of Heaven Slayer. Yeah, this one's good. This is when they released the South of Heaven album, and they kind of slowed it down. They kind of made it more broody, more like demonic, more like evil sounding. So yeah, this is a really good one. Shout out to the Devil Motley Crue. Yeah, that's fine. I think this one they're good albums. I think if they put up something from one of the later albums, I probably wouldn't agree with it. But yeah, this one is definitely good. This is when they were at their peak, when they were kind of like a heavy metal band, like kind of like a dark and evil band, and like a glam metal band all in one. So this was when the band was like really good. Caught the Mosh by Anthrax. Yeah, that's fine. It kind of has they were like one of the more like fun bands of Big Four of thrash. Like they weren't that dark. They were a little more yeah, just like the kind of band that would like you can even see in this picture how they just like to have fun. And I think that's just from their best album as well. The Trooper Iron Maiden, another one, maybe it could be higher because it's just a great song. This is from my favorite album from Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. And it's just you know, one of the songs I love to listen to. I go back to a lot. So it was really good. Round and Round by Rat. It's good. I think this was a song that's very influential in bringing glam into the mainstream. It was, I think it was like Quiet Riot or Def Leppard and Quiet Riot and then Rat. Like they were like the third band to come onto the scene. So that's fine. Peace Sells by Megadeth. Good song. I remember the music video. I used to watch it a lot. You know, it's a fun song. I would have put Holy Wars higher. And I would also put In My Darkest Hour in the top 20. I don't know if that's on there, but we'll see because I haven't like seen all this list yet as of recording. So let's see what happens. Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. So yeah, again, not technically metal, but I think this is like one of the early like Viking metal songs. So this one is good. Yeah, I think it's just very influential in creating metal. It has that like heavy riff in the intro. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree with this. Back in Black AC/DC. This one, it's not really the AC/DC is not metal. They're hard rock. I mean, I think they can be influential, being that this is, I think, one of the best-selling albums of all time, and it's like almost a metal album. So I think I can respect that. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on whether this should be on this list, but definitely a great song. How to Beat on Aim Iron Maiden, another one. This is actually one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs. So this is probably like the highest Iron Maiden song, but maybe it is, maybe it's not. I would put this the highest. So let's see what happens. Angel of Death by Slayer, another one, classic thrash metal song. I like the song a lot. A lot of people, think Raining Blood is like the best album. I think it's good, and I don't think it's like the best thrash metal album of all time, but I think it's a classic song. Stargazer Rainbow. This is a good one. It just kind of brought that like heavy guitar riffs into the 70s, and so it's very influential. Really, it's a very big song. It's epic. So this is kind of like a precursor for like those like big like epic like power metal songs. So I think this one's very influential. Paranoid Black Sabbath. Yeah, it was their biggest hit at the time. It's good. For me, it's kind of like it gets overplayed, but I've heard it so many times. But definitely back in 1970, people didn't know what heavy metal was. So, anything could have been a hit, and this was a hit. Cult of Personality, Living Color. It's a good song. I don't know. I mean, if I think it's kind of high for number 12. This might be something that would be like in the 70s or 80s. But it's a good song. I used to listen to the band a lot. I think they were very influential. One by Metallica. Yeah, this is a great song. I might even have this one higher. This one I rank high, like almost along with like Fade to Black as my favorites. It's just this is the first music video where they mix that like movie footage. So I love the song. I even listen to it a lot. Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden. I know this one is popular. It's catchy. It's another one of those metal songs where it's a little more accessible. I would put some of their other ones. I put the Trooper above this, and I put Hell Be Thy Name above this, but it's here. I would put this maybe a little lower. Holy Diver by Dio. This one's a classic, kind of has that classic like heavy metal sound. Came out in '83, so yeah, this one's good. This is just a classic song from a really great album. Raining Blood Slayer. I mean, we already had Angel of Death on this list, so I don't think another Slayer song is necessary. But again, it's fast, heavy metal, so that's fine. Iron Man, Black Sabbath. This is like the most classic heavy metal riff of all time. So yeah, this one's good. Personally, I kind of gotten a little tired of this song over the years, but I think it's very influential. It should be here. Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, this one's another good one. It's classic. I hear this one a lot, like even like watching TV. I was watching the show, I think it was 911 on a show, and they played Crazy Train at one scene. So this is a good song. War Pigs, Black Sabbath, another classic. Yeah, this one, anything from the Paranoid album definitely deserves to be up high because this is just one of my favorite albums of all time. But yeah, this is definitely a classic. It's been covered so many times. Supposedly T-Pain, the rapper, just covered it. I haven't listened to it yet, but if I do, I'll make a video of it. Mm. Breaking the Law, Judas Priest. This one's good. It's another one it's Judas Priest, but they're playing a very catchy form of heavy metal, which is more radio friendly. It's good. It might be, I mean, number four, like the top five metal songs. I don't know if this would be in the top five, but you probably needed Judas Priest in the top five somewhere. Ace Space by Motorhead. Yeah, I can agree with this. This is a classic song. It's just one of the songs that kind of brought that like fast-paced heavy metal into the forefront. Kind of they were like the bands that kind of like invented speed metal. So I can agree with this. Master of Puppets by Metallica. Yeah, that's fine. This is one of my favorite songs, and possibly along with Fade to Black and One. This is the song that actually got me interested in heavy metal back in like 1987, 88, around that time. So it's a classic, and even though it's been like revitalized on Stranger Things, but yeah, this is fine on number two. And number one, Black Sabbath, the title track from the first album. So yeah, I guess this is the song that kind of created the heavy metal genre. So for that reason, it's at number one. So I guess that's fine if you want to say this is a good song. So that is all. I'm going to end the video here. Comment below. What do you think of this list? Anything that should be here, shouldn't be here, and let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.